In the late 2000s, Cash Money Records was growing exponentially. Thanks to Lil Wayne's constant presence on everyone's songs, all eyes were on Young Money, Cash Money during that time period. Cash Money, Young Money wasn't afraid to experiment with different sounds and genres, so it came at no surprise when they started working with Kevin Rudolf. Throughout his career, Kevin displayed a hunger for variety and worked tooth and nail to show it in his music. His music was mostly rock themed due to his early music inspiration, but he combined it with hip-hop and other genres of music to create something that was special and uniquely him. According to Kevin, he was always more about the music than the fame, hence the originality of his work. Let's dive into the story of Kevin Winston and find out more about his time on Cash Money. Also, how did he come up? What happened between him and the All-American Rejects? And what made him so unique in a world where almost everything had been done before? What up guys, Ali here and welcome to Ali Talks Music. Add me on Instagram at Ali Talks Music as well. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Now let's get into the video.
The sky, and now the world is mine. I've known it all my life. I made it.
Growing up, Kevin Winston Rudolf was surrounded by music. It was in his genes. Born in the early 80s in New York, both of his parents were musically inclined. His mom was a singer and his pops was a DJ. From early on, Kevin displayed his musical abilities and didn't have a very normal childhood due to this. Unfortunately, Kevin's parents divorced when he was young and went their separate ways, leaving him an only child on the Upper East Side. He refused to allow his broken family to deter him and instead pushed harder to succeed. At age 12, he got his first guitar and armed with an arsenal of genres, thanks to mom and dad, he was off. He soon became involved in band music and formed part of the rock group Paint in his teen years. They would do basement and nightclub performances until tensions between the members became unbearable. He was bothered by the internal squabbles and struggled to create music with them. This was when he veered away from team play and became a solo artist. Kevin began trying out new musical ventures, soon pursuing production in addition to singing. He purchased his first keyboard and computer and began blending different genres of music into the kind of music that would eventually become his trademark. He then branched out and started learning how to play other instruments, perfecting them all. Armed with the production skills he developed and his skill in instruments, Kevin began working on songs to show the world what he had in store. He got involved with the record label Maverick, which was headed by the sensational Madonna at the time, and released his first album effort under the alias Binocular, which was also the title of the album. Unfortunately, the album went totally unnoticed in the US. Although the album faded away without acknowledgement, the track You featured in Smallville. Around 2003, he was introduced to the trending producer at the time in the world of hip-hop, Timbaland. After being introduced by Jimmy Douglas, Kevin was invited to a recording session for Lil Kim, who was recording the 2003 hit The Jump Off at the time. On getting there, he intended to sit and observe everything, but Timbaland nudged him to man the guitar, which he did. At first, I just went into the studio to absorb what I could. I brought my guitar as sort of a peace offering, so I wasn't feeling completely useless. Soon, I was playing parts on songs. Kevin Rudolf felt proud to be working with Timbaland. Working with Timbaland, I was amazed by his work ethic and just how much he would work on something until he got the results he wanted. From then on, he and Timbaland worked closely together on a variety of projects for numerous artists like Justin Timberlake, Nelly Furtado, David Banner, the Black Eyed Peas, and a host of others. Kevin learned a lot from Timbaland and honed his production skills. He never forgot his dreams of being a star though, and continued to work on his own music in the background. The story of how Kevin met with Birdman and Slim of Cash Money is an interesting one. Kevin kept working on his own material all throughout 2007 whilst working with Timbaland. The brothers stumbled on his work during a recording session with Timbaland. Kevin played them some of his solo tracks, and they got stuck on a particular song called Coffee and Donuts, which seemed to seal the deal between them. Lil Wayne hopped on one of his tracks called Let It Rock, which was Kevin's debut single into the mainstream, and wow, did it do amazing things for Kevin. The single, which was written and produced by Kevin himself, became an immediate success, peaking at number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100. Concerning sales, Let It Rock blew off the charts on a feverish level. Sales grew massively until it attained not just 1, but 4 times platinum certification by the RIAA. The song made a lot of noise and was frequently played in the NFL, MLB, and NHL arenas. Music critics unanimously gave a thumbs up to the single, praising it for its uniqueness. While talking about the single, Kevin explained that Let It Rock was more than your regular party song. More than that, it was a song that was birthed from anger and dissatisfaction with the world. When explaining how the song came about, Kevin said the following: "I came up with the track at home back in June and played it for Wayne. He loved it and wanted to jump on it. We mixed it 3 days later and it was on radio a few weeks after that." After the collaboration between Kevin and Lil Wayne, he went into partnership talks with Cash Money Records and was eventually signed to the record label. When speaking on his decision to sign Kevin to the label, Birdman said the following: "We love one-of-a-kind artists, and Kevin rolls that way in everything he does. We are always looking at the next step, the next level we can take our audience. I knew his work with other artists, but when he played me his solo stuff, we just knew we had to partner up." Immediately after signing to Cash Money Records, he began working on his solo debut album, which was called In the City. The album came out around 2008, and interestingly enough, all of the tracks except for She Can Get It were co-written and produced by Kevin. Unfortunately, the album was a massive flop. It came in at number 94 on the Billboard 200 and to date has sold about 102,000 copies in the US. Some of the singles did perform relatively well though. The second track of the album was entitled Welcome to the World. It peaked at number 58 on the Billboard Hot 100 and sales climbed exponentially until it hit the gold certification. This could have been because it was frequently used in WrestleMania ads, but it could also be due to its catchy party vibe. As was displayed earlier in his life, Kevin has never been one to condone or spark conflict with others, despite it being a popular part of the culture and the artist that he is signed to. Remember his old band Paint and how he left immediately when the fights were getting unbearable? This is how peace-oriented Kevin is. But every man has a limit, and it seems like maybe rubbing shoulders with all of the Cash Money artists had shortened his temper, because around 2009, Kevin Rudolf and the American Rejects had issues. During the Wango Tango Fest of December of 2009, the All-American Rejects had some disparaging things to say about the artists that were supposed to be performing later that night. "We're the only people on this whole stage that don't play to previously recorded tracks, and that includes vocals. So it's kind of interesting knowing we're going to be the only completely authentic thing on stage today. That's kinda nice." Their guitarist Nick Wheeler chimed in. "Usually when we do festivals, there's amps and drum kits everywhere. But today it's just our gear, and then some dancers hanging around, and then some turntables with a computer on top. So I guess that's even false." Other artists laughed them off since none played musical instruments on stage, except Kevin. He didn't find it funny at all. In an interview with MTV, he went on to challenge them, saying, "I can kick their asses in any instruments, especially the guitar. Challenge me, American Rejects." After the challenge call, he added curtly, "Nah, I'm just playing, but it's true." Yeah. Now the beef between them did not escalate. from this scenario, we can say one thing for sure. Even the peace-loving Kevin has limits, and insulting his hard-learned skills appears to be it. In the same year, he appeared on a song called Shooting Star alongside David Rush, Pitbull, and LMFAO.
I ain't gonna try to change it. You are a shooting star. That's why you are my favorite.
Around 2010, Kevin came out with another single titled I Made It, which was the leading single for his second album and went on to become his second platinum single. 4 months into the success of I Made It, he released his second album called To the Sky. The album peaked at number 78 on the Billboard 200 and to date has sold about 20,000 copies in the US. Clearly, people were not checking for a full studio album from him. The second single off the album was called You Make the Rain Fall, featuring Flo Rida. Needless to say, this song did not do well. Around 2010, he appeared on a song called Just Say So with Brian McFadden. In the same year, Wayne was still experimenting with rock music and released his 7th studio album called Rebirth. The album debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200 and sold about 176,000 copies in the first week. For an experimental album, these sales were not bad. Kevin Rudolf appeared on a song called One Way Trip, produced by Travis Barker, Kevin himself, and DJ Infamous. Kevin also helped produce a song called Paradise off the album. Now I hate to say it, but it almost seems like Kevin Rudolf was added to the label because Lil Wayne was going through his experimental rock phase. Kevin came in, made some rock hits with Young Money, and together they used the momentum they had built to shed light on Rebirth. In the same year, he also appeared on Flo Rida's On and On. Around 2011, he appeared on DJ Khaled's We The Best Forever alongside Tyga, Corey Guns, Mac Main, and Jay Mills. He was also on the Carter 4 in that year, appearing on a track called Novocaine. He also appeared on a song called Always Rains alongside Jared Evan, and another song called Don't Hustle Again alongside Birdman and Rick Ross. Off the project The H. Around 2012, Kevin Rudolf appeared in a song called Don't Give Up and another one called Champions featuring Limp Bizkit, Birdman, and Lil Wayne. None of these songs made much noise. Around 2013, he appeared on Here's to Us, and in 2015, he appeared in Blaze of Glory. In the same year, his time with Cash Money Records came to an end. It was the end of his contract, and he was relieved from the label, harboring no ill will towards Slim, Birdman, or any of the other artists on the label. Despite the lack of animosity between them, Kevin was not allowed to release music under his own name for a period of 3 years and so took on the alias Space Rock in order to work on his next project. I'm going back to my roots with new music, back to the guitar where it all started for me. What I like and what I do naturally usually run pretty opposite to what's going on in the pop music world. But I've always stayed true to myself. I originally wrote the song as I'm on that other shit to capture the attitude of being as far out as you can go, living life on the edge, and being your own person. Kevin then signed with Primary Wave Music, where he was able to drop the alias, instead using it as the title for his next album. Space Rock unfortunately never materialized, and to date, he has not released any more albums. Aside from 2017's Nobody Gets Out Alive, Kevin has taken a huge step back in the music industry, and to most, he's just a fading memory. Now the question is, what is Kevin up to presently? He is still actively involved in producing music and releasing singles, even though they are not very well known. He's currently married to his wife, Shauna Drew, and together with his 7-year-old son Miles, the family live in Miami. Recently, Kevin released a single called Live Your Life. You can also follow him on Twitter and Instagram using the handle @KevinRudolf, and you will find him active. Kevin gets about 1.2 million monthly listeners on Spotify, and his most popular songs on the platform are Let It Rock, I Made It, She Can Get It, and Welcome to the World. And there you have it, folks. The story of Kevin Rudolf, the artist who joined Cash Money, dropped some hot singles, but failed to drop a hot album. That's it for me. It's your boy Ali. What happened to Kevin Rudolf in your opinion? Let me know down below.
'Cause I'm going away to Spain when I get my money saved. Gonna start tomorrow. But I can't and I won't live a lie. No, not.
If you have a video request, be sure to let me know as well. New What Happened 2 video dropping next week. Also add me on Instagram at Ali Talks Music. Till next time, peace.